And we share these recordings afterwards. So just in case people can't make it, they can always come back and look at these specific topics. I'm also very happy to see Helena on. Helena's from altMBA 8, just like myself. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Fei. How are you? So good to see you. Hey, Andre. So good to see you. Hey, Steven. Hi, Michael. Hi, Lana. Hi, Travis. I don't think we've met. I think you're the only one here that I haven't met, but it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. So thrilled to be here. Well, I don't want to take any of your time. I'm so willing to listen to what Andre has to say.
Yeah, maybe Helena will be presenting one day about all the new endeavors that she's taken on since blogging every day since January 1st, 2018.
Definitely. That has been so much fun. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Andre, it's your floor. Have fun. And let me know if you need presenter control, but I think you can take it over from here. You need to unmute too, Andre. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Faith. Hello, everyone. Great to see everyone. Thank you for coming in this Saturday. Lots of things down to the end of the year. It's always busy time. So thank you for taking the time. I'm definitely going to make it worth your time, your while to be here. And I'm going to engage you today. I'm going to be talking about strategies, social strategies to connect with your audience for podcasters. So even though this could be applying to everyone in altMBA, I'm making this, very narrow and more relevant to podcasters and showing some of the strategies and techniques that I've applied to my podcast, and I was able to make it grow. So we're about to complete 1 year in this trail wagon. I'm going to show you some of the results that we have accomplished, and I'm going to show you some of the strategies that I've used for that. So what I have here are really 7 strategies for you to do this. There are so many exercises that you can take away from it. A couple of things that I would suggest for us. I think last time that we had this session, Margot was presenting, maybe it was one of the last. And one thing that really worked was putting your questions or comments in the chat box. I think it's a very way to turn around questions and address them, right? By any means, feel free to interrupt me that way. I'm definitely gonna go along and read those as we go. I am Andre Piazza. I am altMBA 4. I live in Austin, Texas, and my podcast is called Octanage, and it's in Portuguese, and it's about entrepreneurial mindset. What people have done over the years to actually translate ideas, dreams, aspirations into reality, and what are the things, the challenges that they faced, what did they learn from that, and what are the resources that they are willing to share with the community. So this is about really connecting people with people, and there's an entire angle about that. And if anything, that is really going to be the bottom line today. Social is really the conduit, the way in which we can actually connect with people these days, right? It's a very powerful way, and I'm here to deliver you strategies that are going to be really taking your podcast or any other digital influencer strategies that you are working on today to the next level. So, folks, I do have slides here, but I really like this conversational tone. So what I'm going to do is the following. I might project to you some of the slides every now and then, and I'm going to be making them available to you later on. So, feel free to take your notes, but just know a lot of the material that I'm going to be showing, it's going to be available to you, right? So that is important. And that being said, let's see if you have any questions or comments. Does this sound like a good plan to you today?
Love it.
All right. Wonderful, folks. So here's the situation. Why are you here today? Because you are a podcaster. You are some kind of digital influencer, and you are already creating content. So that could be audio, that could be video, that could be blogs, that could be anything in between. So from that situation, here's the vital problem that we have today. And I think, this is one of the things that we've been evolving as alt-MBA community. It is that even though the process is about, shipping these things out in generosity and just waiting, not necessarily waiting, with that much of patience, but, by shipping things out into the world, you're going to be connecting with people, right? Here's the reality. It is no longer possible for us, regular people, to start a blog and, just be blogging somewhere on the internet and expect people to go to it anymore, right? That the game has changed and changed dramatically over the last couple of years, right? We used to have organic audiences on Facebook. They are worth very, very little at this point, right? And, in part, I'm going to be approaching, these problems and what are some of the solutions for that. And part of that is really, how do I actually connect the content that you are creating and you're bringing that out into the world with the people that are out there, and people that consider that relevant, interesting, and are going to be following you and going to be engaging with you, which is really the fun part of all this, is when you're actually connecting with people and you're getting feedback and they are telling you how you're transforming them. So I really want today to take you through, this process of, coming in contact with this problem and then, finding solutions and reaping the benefits, which are no longer fellowship, but actually engagement. So think about that. What I'm proposing to you as the solution is also the benefit. Engagement for the sake of engagement, right? You want to talk to people. Let's help ourselves talk to people, right? So a lot of this, and this is a different way of telling this story. A lot of this is about you're creating content, you're packetizing that thing, you're putting that on a blog, on a vlog, on a podcast, and you're looking for people to come in and gain contact with that, right? So they can interact with that and they can reply back to you. So a lot of this is, and you're already good at it. You're already good at producing content. Let's get you now in a position in which you're bringing that content that you're already producing into life. And for that, you need an audience, right? So here's the goal that I believe, for all of us, right? Engagement for the sake of engagement. And let me also share this screen with you. I have the controls, Fei. Thank you. So I assume that you just type on the chat box, if you can see my slide here with a chart. That it? All right, good. So the goal for us is something that I'm borrowing from Nick Loper from Side Hustle Nation. You can see that his podcast started back in 2013. And in about 3.5 years, he's collected 1.9 million downloads. So he's approaching 2 million downloads after 3.5 years. And you can see how this curve actually grows over time, right? There are slopes of growth. There are slopes, the dreaded plateaus, and there are more slopes of growth. I am putting into perspective what my podcast has accomplished. Probably when we really complete 1 year, we're going to be about 8,000 downloads. I'm just getting the latest chart, and I'm showing you sideways to show that a lot of that curve of exponential growth is what happens and what you should be experiencing, right? And I'm putting that into perspective into this new slide in which I'm matching that amount of downloads that I'm getting with the amount of downloads that he has on his chart, to show that, in a lot of ways, this is kind of what we're experiencing as well. So maybe, if you fast forward 2.5 years, I might be coming back to you and talking about, maybe 1 million downloads. That sounds like a reasonable goal considering this chart. So this is really the goal for us today, is for you to be able to experience all that growth. And in order to be able to attain that is really my proposition. You gotta be able to engage people socially. right? Just distributing your podcast in the regular venues or distribution channels, platform, and apps, that no longer suffices. And that is such a difficult thing for us to learn. So these here are a few things that I would like to use as assumptions here, right? And I'm calling those the catch, right? These things that I'm gonna mention next are your marketing score. And if you do not have them, there's no way you're gonna be experiencing that curve of growth, right? Let me name what those elements are, right? First, your digital home, your digital property where you have 100% of control. And that is usually your website, okay? So that is number one, and you're gonna see how that becomes relevant as we go through these strategies. Number two, your email list, right? These are people that gave permission to you to contact them via email, which is probably one of the most private, most personable ways of approaching someone today. So, treat those two things as sacred. Third thing that I have here is, even though it no longer suffices, really the mechanism of growth and audio distribution really continues to be platform apps, podcast apps and platforms. So you gotta have a distribution strategy that contains a lot of those, right? This is really gonna be important for you to be able to attract and put your content and leverage the algorithm within those platforms to actually take that to maximize growth, right? And number four, this is really vital, is pick one platform to be your key platform. You might be in several social platforms, but pick one to be your focus, okay? In my case, my partner and I, we have decided that to be Instagram. Even though we have a very large Facebook following, we're focusing into Instagram at this point. And there are reasons for that choice, right? But these four things that I just mentioned to you, treat them as really sacred and key decisions in your podcast, your website, your email list, the platforms, the audio platforms in which you distribute, and finally the social media platforms that you're going to be engaging with people. Okay. Question coming from Travis. By platform, you mean social media platform, right? I think that's what you mean. So I'm trying to make that distinction because sometimes I'm talking about social platforms. So I'm going to be referring as such, right? Instagram, Facebook, etc. And then for the audio platforms, I'm talking about Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I'm talking about Spotify, Castbox, and the likes of the world. Okay. Cool. Folks, if that is, our assumptions, what I'm going to do with you next is I have a list of 7 things to do that you could be taking on and doing any time of the day, and probably a lot of them repeating continuously, right? Saying also welcome to Robbie, who just joined us. Feel free to join in the questions and comments on the chat box. Looking forward to it. The way that I've designed it was I'm going to do a walkthrough of all this. So I made it visual. I'm going to be projecting some slides so you can see when I'm talking about creating content, how does that look like? When I'm talking about engagement, how does that look like? So I've tried to do that via screenshots. So, we visually cover all that very fast. And then you can, at the end of all this, we have time, to get extra questions and all that, right? So first thing, right? And in this list, it's a non-prioritized list, right? So number one thing that the first thing that I'd like to put in front of you is really engage relentlessly. I was thinking of just saying, look, you should be engaging, but then I realized, it doesn't suffice to put that as an assumption. I gotta tell the story for people to be very clear about this. This is why you're doing a podcast. This is why you're choosing to be an influencer, because you want to engage with people. That is really why you're here, right? You want to show up. That is really part of our altMBA core. And when you're showing up and you're, really full body present in those conversations, in the content that you're posting, that is really what engages people and brings that back to you, right? So I'm putting here two aspects of all this. One is your audience, right? You want to be asking questions. You want to be responding to comments. You want to be delivering value. And I'm bringing value in three contexts here, right? Generosity, which is so core to alt MBA. There's also the angle of gratitude, regardless of what they bring to you, good or bad, great comments, negative comments, your emotion, your key emotion here is gratitude, right? You're learning something out of this process. And some of you who became larger digital influencers, you're probably starting to deal with, some kind of a trolling or negative comments, right? It's part of the experience. I just wanted to fine tune your emotions to gratitude at that point. And also of a support. You want to be helpful. You want to be delivering value all the time. So this is like, your mindset for engaging with your audience. Then connecting with influencers in your field. And this is very important regardless of the stage you are in your digital influence. You want to be connecting with people. You want to actually have this mindset of what can we create together, right? That mindset is really important. And this is really what's going to be making a difference. So I got a question here. What influencers do you connect with, Andre? Travis, this is really about connecting with influencers in your field, right? Even though professionally I have other fields of influence, in my podcast, it's really about entrepreneurship in Portuguese language, right? So those are the people that are going to be trying to connect with, right? Understanding what they do, what kind of value they're creating. And in fact, I'm going to give you an exercise on that, right? To mimic that amount of engagement and influence with people, right? And so one way that you can do that is on the platform you choose, try to follow the hashtags, the key hashtags that describe your podcast. Try to find who are the key people posting in those hashtags. And even, your guests, who are they following? Who are they pointing to? What are they talking about when they say, like, what are the people that you're modeling today? And see who they point to. Those are going to be like, great ways of, getting and identifying those influencers. Does that help, Travis? Alrighty, cool. So that is the engagement piece. Again, this is part of the mindset, and we can use this everywhere. Now, this is a piece in which I have several visuals to show you and a lot of comments. So this is really a walkthrough. 10 types of content every podcaster should be posting today, right? Those are the things that I learned through my podcast. And those are the things that I'm looking forward to sharing with you, also to learn about your experience, to see what are the things that you learned over the years and how we could be complementing this list with new things. So first thing that I have is your episodes. So here we go, your episodes right here. So every time, there are two angles to this. When you're launching a new episode, there is the angle of, you have evergreen content probably that you need to be, reshuffling in your content strategy. So I'm going to be calling that evergreen content. So, you can call that also an episode drip. You're actually getting older episodes and you're putting this continuously in front of people. Because one of the biggest problems in podcasting today is how do people choose what they're going to be listening to? You do not want to leave that only to the algorithm. You want to leave that to the people that follow you, that chose to connect with you. You want to continuously be presenting the same old content in new ways so they can actually connect with that. So there is going to be a episode drip, right? I'm showing here several ways in which I'm doing on my platform of choice. You can see how we promote on the episode launch. You can see that I'm referring, and for example, on the text here, I'm referring to my website, octanage.com/E0XX, in which XX is the number of the episode, right? So that is a really easy way for people to click or to type and get to that episode without having to go through the entire URL or having to search online. Even though you want to be showing up online, you want to be well on SEO, that is one way in which I'm doing this. Another way in which I'm doing this is the continuous episode drip. Very similar, but you can see, it's really people-oriented. I'm showing here a title, very simple, 2 or 3 sentences, 2 or 3 lines. I'm actually trying to reduce and compact them to just 2, right? Really being keyword oriented, which is really going to be drawing people to it, right? Another angle into all this is, and we're going to talk about that, is you're activating your guests as well. They might feel complimented about this, and they might choose to repost your content, which is really a golden mine, because you're no longer talking about your organic audience. Now you're talking to an expanded audience, and you're just leveraging the content you just produced, right? You're bringing that content to life by making it relevant to someone else that may not know you. That is really the cutting edge of all these strategies, right? Question from Fei, comment, I didn't know Spotify has the stories too. How do you create one? So I made it on purpose, and I even highlighted here. Well, so we also have a template for the Instagram stories. So people that are, just scrolling through stories, they get that visual memo. Oh, they have a new episode available. I should listen. I should load my podcast app. I should take a look. Who is this guy? Who's this Marcelo guy? Right? What are they talking about? So that is another thing. And then Spotify, if you load Spotify, the app on your phone, try to go to your podcast and choose an episode, and find the share button for that episode. When you click on it, there's going to be a list that is going to expand into your screen, and it's going to be containing several things: Messenger, Facebook, and other things. And one of them is going to be Instagram stories. You click on it, and what they create is, you can see this little box here with the image of the episode, and then the title and the name of your podcast, the episode's title, and then the name of your podcast. It's going to be scrollable, so you can place anywhere on the screen, and you can expand or contract in size. I believe the background is already set. I don't think you have control over that one. What they're going to be showing when this is done is on the top, play on Spotify, and that is clickable. And that is beautiful, because one of the challenges we have on podcasts, right? Remember that I've been talking about problems here. I spoke about, no longer suffices to only produce content and expect people to find it, right? Problem number 2, how do people choose what to listen to? Problem number 3, how do you actually connect a promotion into the audio itself? Audio delivery is the third problem, and that is a solution for it, right? Click on that thing, and it's going to be taking people to Spotify. The thing that I love about Spotify is that they have this vision. They understand that this is important. To me, this is a big plus. No other platform has ever gotten this understanding and a solution for this. Number 2, you can actually add names. You can tag people. You can mention people, right? One person on that post. You can actually put hashtags on it in written, or one official hashtag using the Spotify, the Instagram interface. And you can also add GIFs. So it's a way of telling that and activating with your own story, right? Using the Instagram interface. So there it is. This is how you activate your episodes. Question coming from Steven: what platform do users use the most to interact with you? Majorly social media, right? There is on the websites, there are comments, not used that much. I'm getting a lot of traction via social media, especially on Instagram. And I'm going to cover that, Steven, in a second. When I'm talking about the lives, I'm going to be telling you how that interaction has happened and why I'm going to be suggesting that as important to you. So, give me 5, we're going to get there. Number 2 here is audiograms. Not that important for a podcast in Portuguese at this point, but I'm told by several people that audiograms are the vital promotion way for a podcast in English. And to me, that makes total sense because of the second problem that I mentioned to you, which was how do people choose what to listen to? When you're showing them a flat post, which is image and text like these, that is still kind of flat. You need something else. You need something more interesting than that. And then an audiogram actually provides you that. So it's playable here. I'm going to play here just so you have a, if you're not familiar with audiograms, how do they look and feel? And I'm going to tell you about this fantastic tool to create audiograms called Headliner, right? Here we go.
Olá, ouvintes, eu sou a Diego Tardello, diretora criativa e fundadora da marca Caplover, uma marca brasileira de slow fashion que produz vestidos românticos e atemporais. Eu fui entrevistada pelo André Piazza, do altPodcast. Nessa entrevista eu falei sobre brand, sobre relacionamento com clientes, entre outras coisas muito importantes para você que está empreendendo ou que sonha em iniciar o seu negócio. Então, tem muitas informações valiosas ali. Eu convido você a ouvir o episódio e participar junto comigo na comunidade Octanage.
All right, folks. So you can see I'm posting this on YouTube. I'm adding that to a playlist over there, which is called like when, audiograms. So, another way in which you activate cross different social platforms. But really, this is a suggestion that I received from one of us. It was Lana. Lana gave me that suggestion of using Headliner, and it was fantastic. It's so easy to put this together when you have the images, and it even transcribes the audio for you, and it has a tall list of languages in which you can translate. So for us, I'm pretty sure that they can do a reasonable job of translating, getting that, and aligning that up with the video, audio, and video in sync. And that is just fantastic to have this tool available. Something, to really take a look into. So it's called Headliner app, and it's going to be clickable when you get to the slides, right? Number 3 type of content that you should have inspiration, right? Provide people with quotes. This is how you're going to be sharing really your mindset, right? Remember, narratives, your stories, your mindset, the mentality that comes around, who you are and the influence that you have. Try to share that. There are several ways in which you can do that. One of the ways that I've used, and there has been like a very good acceptance from the audience in interest, was a series of posts. So on this one, for example, is the ABCs of female entrepreneurs. So you can tell that, I kind of made it in kind, and then I'm using each one of the letters to actually tell a different story. Super well received. I also used that in the context of a book. A friend of mine that shipped a book about, these lessons. I got his permission. I'm quoting him on every episode, right? So those are ways in which you can engage people in multiple ways, and you're going to be really gaining interest. And people are going to be paying attention to you, right? Another thing that is a vital way of showcasing digital influence is your lifestyle. And you got to be able to make that in the context of your podcast, right? This is really what people are going to be interested in your podcast. Who is the person behind the podcast, and what do they do? What do they live? What do they go through? People are very interested in that. So events that you go to, accomplishments, your expertise, right? In this case, I'm showcasing to you the lives, the Instagram lives that I go through. And, I've made a promise to Steven that I'm going to be talking about that in a second, right? Fei, thanks for sharing on the chat Headliner app. And, thank you for actually tracking this and filling out with the information as we go through. So I have a couple of lives that I do on a weekly basis, and I have some others that are more like sporadic or with different participants. We're going to get to it. I'm just showing to you that I'm actually promoting that in advance so people understand that that is a vital way of engaging with me, that I'm going to be present, that I'm going to be showing up. And guess what? People show up to those. They're expecting that. When you do not deliver, they ask questions about it, right? So this is really the logic of showing up here. Number 5, your guests. This is super important because you not only want to showcase them so people can, you're not only creating demand for the audio for that episode, you're also doing that for one very specific reason. They might feel flattered and they might want to repost your content. So that is really a gold mine when they actually choose to do that. And they feel like, gosh, they really got, a key thing that I said during the episode, right? And, this is super interesting. So sometimes they may choose not to share your audiogram, but sometimes they choose to actually show, just a sentence or a quote from the episode. It's really interesting. And this is the psychology of people. I'm still trying to figure that out. Right? Number 6, and this is taken for granted and goes back into a question from Steven. Look, you got to draw your audience in and you got to tell them, look, you can text me, you can send a comment, you can send a feedback, you can ask a question. I'm going to be answering that on the podcast, right? So this is how I implemented that. On my website, I have this thing popping on the right side as a pop-up, and essentially when people click on it, they can send something that comes straight into my phone, and that is a platform that is used in Brazil, WhatsApp, right? So I've also created a vanity URL within my website that people can do that, so they can always send me a question, and I'm promoting that via a post. So people know that, oh, I can also talk to those guys, right? So over time, as they're scrolling through this barrage of content that we're producing nowadays, they can also get that memo. And that is very important. Number 7, your offers. So this is very important. It doesn't have to be salesy, but people need to know that you have something out there, right? It doesn't matter if it's an ebook, if it's a physical book, if it's an article, if it is a video or another thing that you've done, you gotta be activating that. You gotta be letting people know. And here are some of the ways that some of the influencers that I follow have done that. And I'm trying to mimic, right? So you can see this guy right here in the middle. He's just launched, he just released a new book called, what is the name of that? That is called Hubris, right? So Hubris is his new book, and it's a top performer in the Brazilian Amazon store. And you can see how he's putting that into perspective with his previous book and how he's activating, sentences, quotes from within the book. Here's another guy. He happens to be black, and that explains, this picture over here. He's decided out of an election outcome to offer all his books on Amazon for free for one day. So all Kindle books on Amazon, he's made it for free for one day. And this is, during the day, he's actually commenting like, people downloaded 15,000 of my books. And this is how much money, I've lost with all this. So about $4,000, right, in 3 hours. And he's commenting within the what's written, that usually about 20 people buy his books on a daily basis, but look, 15,000 of you are, have downloaded that in only 3 hours, right? And he's going, as he executes this promotion, he's showing his financial problems, right? His financial issues with all this. And he's even joking like, well, this is translating into more mentorship. This is translating into more consulting engagements and things for that. So, be mindful of that, do promote your offers. Then 8 is definitely get that audience generated content, the things that they write to you, the things that they post about you, and put it out there. So you can see a couple things, this is coming from a story on Instagram. Someone said, look, in one of the episodes, I heard about this book. I was not even feeling it, but I decided to buy it, and I read it, and it's a great book, right? So here it is. I was able to post to get that story and translate that into a post and let other people know, look, but people are paying attention. People are taking action on these things, right? Here's another one. Someone on Twitter just saying, look, when I'm listening to a podcast episode, do not interrupt me. right? And they're using like, all kinds of swear words and all that. And it's really funny, right? So my reply was, this is the profile of the people that listen us, right? Of our listeners. And, it was really interesting how that touch of humor, just leveraging that audience generated content, provoked a lot of reaction into people. People are laughing, people are sending DMs talking about this thing. Number 9, activate your brand. Remember, you're creating your brand as you go. This is not only about your episodes, your offers, the things that you're creating. This is also about yourself, right? So this is how we're telling the story about, the 2 hosts of this podcast. This is how I've translated, and I've also translated that into a lives. There is this small Funko Pops bobbleheads. I bought some of them to represent the people that I'm inviting into the lives or ourselves, and I'm also using them on the posts, right? This has provoked major reaction from people, right? People, were not expecting this kind of thing. So I'm kind of translating myself and my partner into these 2 little bubbleheads, right? In Portuguese, we do not have the bubblehead concept. So I call them Pokemons, right? Which is something that is widely spread and people understand, right? So I'm telling that story based on that. And then, here's another thing that is kind of, the type of thing that you'd see from larger brands. I'm just, kind of creating a lifestyle kind of thing. Look, a podcast is the kind of thing that kind of resembles when you're, just around the fire. We have the whole Hawaiian luau concept in Brazil, so I'm activating that concept in here, right? A podcast with us is like that. There is one of us, there is a guest, and there's going to be you, and you're going to be listening to that story in that really cozy place, comfortable, creating that memorable experience, right? So this is something that I'm using to activate our own brand. And finally, how is your podcast being distributed? You're educating people, right? This is a lot about telling people where you are, and this is about educating people how to listen to podcasts. So the text that follows in here is pretty much, what is a podcast? How do you listen to one? And how you can get started with a simple links, with audio delivery and all that, right? So those are the 10 types of content that I believe every podcaster should be posting nowadays. Let me transition into 3. We have 4 more to go. These are going to be shorter, but I'm really going to be pacing this so we still save time in the end, so you can ask more questions, right? Open mic questions. So here we are. Run lives as you go by live. So think about it. Choose one of these platforms, whether this is Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. I chose Instagram, and I can tell you all about it. You can see here on the background, I have a tripod. I have a connector, and I'm connecting my tablet. So my phone is on me all the time, and I can actually manage the interaction as I go through the live. But the video is being generated by the tablet, right? I can tell you all about it in details, the ins and outs of all that. I'm going to tell you it's a learning curve. You're probably going to be spending 1 month doing lives and learning something every time you do a live, right? Question from Fei. Do you have support assistance in producing these posts, hashtags? It's a lot of work, and I wonder how you manage your time and be productive, right? Fei, it's been 1 year, and we're still learning how to do this. One thing that really helped us was to create visual templates in Canva. So you're using a mix of Canva and Adobe Photoshop, right? Canva is good because we can collaborate. I'm in Austin, Texas. My partner is in London, and we have a third wheel that is producing content in Brazil, and the 3 of us can triangulate content using Canva. It's really helpful. And we're using also to post all this stuff, we're using automating scheduler, social schedulers, right? Like Buffer, and there is a variety of other of them. We're going to get to in a second too. But that is really the general footprint for the posts, okay? When it comes to lives, this is the interesting thing. One way of shifting that work, which is you against the computer, not talking to anyone, into something that is really attracting attention and making you the center of that attention and engagement, is really the lives. What I'm going to tell you is the simple formula to do that, and let me know if you want to discuss more about it. because, I've gone through this learning curve, and it's really interesting, and it's really, really delightful when you start getting the engagement. It works like this. We invite another person, because lives you can only have 1 or 2 people. Talking by yourself is funny. That monologue is not really my thing. I can do that over here because I have your eyes and I can check your faces. Much simpler. When you're on a live, all you can tell is people are logging in or out and nothing else, right? So you gotta have a crisp message. And number 2, you gotta be able to be engaging with people and asking them, type stuff on the chat, talk to me. Here's, a voting opportunity for you, right? How do you like this? All this kind of stuff. What is really great is when you're doing 2 people. So you hosting the live, you're gonna be scrolled to the top, and then the other person is gonna be on the phone on that 9:16 format on the bottom, and then all the interaction is going to be really on the first third of the screen, right? Scrolling, and that is the chat box and their comments. So it's much more interesting, that model, because not only your audience is going to be notified that you're on a live, but also the audience of your guest, right? And it's really interesting because people have Instagram on all the time. It's really surprising, and they are logging in. When they see that you have a live, they log in and they start interacting with you. Sometimes people are even gonna suggest that you talk to them. So I've done some of that model too. Question from Robbie. How often do you produce episodes? I have a weekly show, and this feels like a lot to do to manage weekly. That is precisely what we have too. We're producing the episodes, and I'm doing the lives twice weekly, sometimes even more by myself. Right? Have you seen a marked increase in episode downloads as you've added these different types of posts to your marketing? There is not a one-on-one correlation, but you can see how that thing just took off exponentially for us. So a lot of that, and we know that is because we're hammering these things socially. This is the hardest part too, Robbie. There is no one-on-one correlation to this thing. Right? So you can never really point out and say, you know what, I'm getting 500 episodes because I posted this thing, right? You can probably do that when you're on a stable thing, and then you do just one thing differently. But because in this 1 year, I've done everything different, right? I'm just still learning. So I cannot really pinpoint. But what I can tell is there is engagement. And when people are talking to me, are sending DMs, comments, emails, right? We're working together, and we're creating things together. I know that this is meaning something, right? The numbers are a translation of that. Have you been able to convert listeners to your email list? I do a lot of that via the website, via a pop-up type of a plugin that connects into MailChimp or whatever email campaign. We had a fantastic episode of altPodcasters with Margot about emails. I can really listen to that one. It's really cool. I'm not gonna get into the details because Margot really delivers a lot of value in there. All right, so just wrapping up the lives here, right? We have 12 minutes to go here. The lives is a great experience if you're on any of these platforms, and they're super engaging. You would be surprised, people that listen to the lives later into the night, the DMs that they send back saying, I love your lives. I just learned a ton about innovation when you told me this story. Wow, what else can I expect from you guys? All these kind of comments that we wouldn't otherwise get just by delivering the audio episodes out there, right? Number 4, automate social cross-posting. So this comes with a warning. There are a variety of different tools that you can use. I also mentioned Buffer. If you're using Instagram, I have a friend that is working on Planoly, and I'm a user, and I'm a big fan of Planoly for Instagrammers and digital influencers. So take a look into all these things. I'm gonna type here on the chat box. It's Planoly, just like this, and you should find an app for iOS, if I'm not mistaken. The warning that comes with this is be respectful of the nature of each platform and of your audience in each one of them, okay? So if you're cross-posting, be mindful when you're setting that up. so you're actually not spamming people in different platforms, right? And talking about warnings, here's another one, because all this, I'm telling you, like, do a lot of that, do as much as you can. These two, number 4 and number 5, they're not as much as you can. They are more like, be mindful, right? These two, they have like, this mindful plug. So this one is about permission and relevance. Instead of automatically cross-posting, choose some platforms to connect your content, right? And I'm putting here all the platforms in which people are actually having conversations and engaging with one another. Groups, Facebook and LinkedIn, Meetup, Reddit, big one, interest-based, location-based, demographic-based, right? And for people in countries other than Brazil, other than the United States, you have WhatsApp and Telegram, in which you have these big groups that are formed, and that is a way in which you can post your content being relevant and mindful, right? If you have permission. So that is number 6, grow your audience with Facebook ads using Facebook Pixel. So this is one of the cutting edges opportunities for us to podcasters to actually expand out of that organic reach in what people we can draw in naturally. This is the opportunity to go above and beyond to the people that haven't heard about us. So let's take a look into this post that I received a couple days ago. Questions about divorce, get our free ebook. My comment to them was, I'm single, but I'm just gonna bookmark this just in case, right? So you have this thing, and then I clicked on, why am I seeing this ad? So there is this business, and they are targeting people that have this CEO interest, right? Depending on the pages and clicking that you've done in the past. They're also targeting people by demographics, 26 and older, who live or were recently in Austin, right? So it's a partial targeting because it's based on interests that are pre-cataloged by Facebook, and they're quite generic. And the second thing that is kind of generic about it is demographics, right? There is a better way, and that better way is Facebook Pixel. The Pixel itself is something that you install in your website. It's not complicated, but if you need any help with that, let me know, right? I can help you with that. It's not complicated, and this is going to be translating into a lot of benefits for you, right? Here's how. You can see here, this is the traffic that we have received in our website for the last 30 days. You can create a custom audience within Facebook, right? Based on that website traffic. And that custom audience based on your website traffic is, allows you to create a custom design buyer's journey content strategy for the people that already know you. So they went to your website, you're not even connected with them on Facebook or anything, but you can deliver ads on Facebook or Instagram just based on the fact that they came to you. And you can actually show them different angles of your business or of your podcast, right? Leveraging all that content that I mentioned to you before, right? So that is really the opportunity number 1. Talk to the people that had some kind of interaction with you and create a much deeper buyer's journey content strategy with them, right? You have control over that by paying dollars to Facebook. And here's the one that is really interesting, which is the lookalike audiences. Based on this, based on the people that came to your website, to your email lists, you give this to Facebook, and they, based on intelligence from their platform, they create a list of people that are similar to those visitors, and you can actually show your ads to them. And that is really something that is really cool for us podcasters to increase our growth. Comment from Fei, we should do a deep dive on Facebook Pixel's many resources. It's tricky. How does this connect with ads and all that? I definitely agree, Fei. I'm just giving an overview and showing possibilities. I can show you later how I actually get these things done. And finally, people, while we still have 5 minutes to go, I'm definitely going to be around longer if you want. But here's an exercise for you based on everything that I showed you. you're going to be mirroring an influencer in your field, right? The process that I described to Travis before, you're going to choose one social media platform. You're going to be identifying the influencers in your field in that particular platform, and you're going to mimic their content. You're going to mimic the visuals. You're going to mimic the way that they write, right? And you're going to be adapting that to your voice, to your tone, to your audience, right? And you're going to watch the results. And you're going to be repeating that from time to time. So, you're going to be essentially setting yourself for a learning process here. And at the same time, should be fun because you should be getting more engagement, because the influencers are in a way dictating how people are expecting to see certain things, right? And that is a great way of, expediting that learning curve, without getting mixed in there. So we still have 5 minutes. I'm gonna, mute my mic and see if you have any other questions or comments in the chat, or if you wanna make them with an open mic.
First of all, Andre, what a great job. You are so well prepared. I mean, with Google Slides and everything. And thanks for, and all the, I know it took a lot of effort to do that. So thank you. It was wonderful.
My pleasure, folks. I'm going to be making this available on SlideShare later. So, be on the lookout on Slack for the link to it.
Andre, hi, this is Lana. So first of all, thank you so much. Sorry, guys, I have MBTA in the background as usual. First of all, thank you for sharing a lot of different tips. The Spotify on Instagram story, I already tried it just a few minutes ago. Looks great, thank you. If you were to look at everything that you presented to us, and if you were to select just a couple of things that give the most benefit, what would they be?
From what I learned today, you got to have the posts, right? This is why I spend time breaking that down into 10 different aspects in which you can post, right? On Instagram these days, people are talking about posting 4 times a day, and that's really what we've been doing. And when we're doing just 2 or just 1, growth on that platform really decreases, right? So that is one, and I think it's vital. Number 2 is I'm a big believer into that engagement model, and the lives are really working for me because I can do that with other people. And when I'm driving on my car, I have this spot that I just place the phone and it looks cool, and I feel really good talking to people without losing attention to the traffic, and creates that engagement sensation. So I would say find a way of creating that live engagement with people. Go live, people, talk to people, show that you're not only an edited podcast, but show up somewhere and do that in video. I think it's really important because 90% of the internet traffic nowadays is video. If you do not have that type of thing, the platforms are not going to be giving you credit. The posts, they're kind of just baseline. They no longer suffice to be amazing people. Right. So those are the 2 key things that I can think of, and where I would be actually focusing, Lana, and probably where I put most of my energy. Right. Also, just so for you to put things in context, a lot of this automation and cross promotion and all that, this happens kind of in batches, right? You do a few things, you see how they go, and then you develop some more and all that, right? But those are parallel things. What you really want to do as a social influencer is to show up. So those are the 2 key things.
Thank you, Andre.
Andre, I just wanted to say great job too. It just was very well prepared. I have a question for your lives. Do you coordinate them with your show? Are they the same topic, or do you do different topics for your lives?
They're actually coordinated, right? So it's all within the same topic, which is entrepreneurship. I actually find different people in which I had that influencer engagement or audience engagement and said, hey, what can we create together? And I created my own model for lives. So, you can see this is the audience facing promotion, right? What I do is I talk to that person in parallel, and we develop like a mind map of what we're going to be talking about. It's really keyword oriented and structure oriented. that does wonders, because I've been able to actually manage very successful conversations going from 30 minutes to 1 full hour, in which the audience is begging for more. Like, people are holding their phones for 1 hour and they want more, right? So that is the way that I've developed, and that is my own quote unquote technology for the lives, right? You should be actually finding out what works for you. Those are the, the peer lives, or, guest lives. When I'm talking about myself, I usually do a mental draft of what I want to talk. And even, I'm going to tell you, Steven, I have a couple of webinars in the making. I did my own structure. And just like this one, I actually decided to turn on the camera on live and say, you know what, I got this webinar and here's a draft I'm going to deliver to you. Good luck, right? That is exactly on those terms, right? Let me know what you think. Boom, right? And people are writing back, I really love that thing. That was interesting. I learned so much. I'm like, okay, I got to do that webinar. That is so much more fun than me, hammering my webinar against the screen, right? So that is the answer. It's on topic. It's just flexes according to the people that I'm talking to, who I'm inviting, or who I'm talking to.
So, Andre, I don't know whether you podcast full time. I assume not. You probably are an entrepreneur yourself, running multiple businesses. How many hours do you find yourself doing things at the moment?
Yeah, podcaster burnout is a thing. I think Lana and I discussed about this. We mentioned this somewhere in one Slack channel, and you were laughing because you know it, right? In a way, I'm splitting the responsibilities with my partner, which in theory would split the work in two, but there's a lot of communication that needs to happen there. So there's a lot of overhead, right, in collaborating. He likes to edit the episodes. What I've been doing is working on the angles that I just mentioned to you, the website, Pixel, new technologies, creating new forms of engagement with people, or exploring things that I haven't done before, like, the Facebook, the Instagram lives, right? Probably there is a solid 6 hours a week to get the episodes out, and then to work on the lives and deliver them. That is probably the amount of work that I have when I'm actually, trained on them. The learning process, you're probably going to be taking probably double that amount of hours, right?
And there are two of you too. So I think it's really, if the minimum, I think 6 to 8 hours each person. Yeah. And it's a separate topic for those of you who are like individual podcasters. The decision I made a few months ago was to hire a social media manager from Upwork. And that's after I figure out strategy, after what I've learned. Still, when you hire somebody, you continue to learn. But that was really helpful for a single, you're just by yourself without a partner.
Yeah, the partner thing is something else. We're learning and we're growing together into this. Fantastic person to work with. We're friends for more than a decade. Sometimes tension arises because, people want to do things in different ways, or even the priorities, right? Mm-hmm. And this is interesting to say because 98% of things we really agree right off the bat, right? Mm-hmm. So that, those 2% is where, we've been working and learning how to work together, right? So I'm even experimenting with agile processes to help us, turn around this thing in a way that is more fun to each one of us, right? Because there is a lot of commitment involved.
So we're up against time. This has been great. Any questions from the rest of you guys? Yeah, we would love to connect with you, Andre. I couldn't find you on Facebook either. I did find you on Instagram. So, send me a link as well. Helena, Michael, Lana, Robbie, Steven, anything else before we drop off? All right.
I really love the topic of the burnout.
Mm-hmm.
So something I think that's smart for us to put on the calendar at some point.
Yeah, that's I love that. We are looking for 2 more speakers in the upcoming, so 2 weeks from now and 4 weeks from now. I know that many of you have spoken already. I know, Lana, it's a little bit tricky for you at this time of the day, but I would love for you to present one of these days if you can. So we'll figure that out. But yeah, thank you so much. I will be sharing the recording via Facebook group very soon. And, now I know Andre's there, but I think now knowing some people are not there, it's good for me to follow up via an email as well. So thank you guys. I will be on vacation for the next 4 weeks, so I won't be on the sessions, but I will be back mid-December. Our sessions are still on, and Steven will be facilitating those sessions. Thank you so much, Steven. And can't wait to see you guys. It's unbelievable.
Have a great time.
Thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.